Okay, in today's lesson, I'm going to give you a little tour of one of the tools that I use, which is called InkFrog. InkFrog is a listing tool and a inventory management tool, and it also enables you to create a descriptive page around a number of tabs that appear on your eBay listing. I've got some work to do on that, but I will give you an example or demonstration of what it is. So without further ado, I'm just going to switch now to my desktop, and here you can see the home page. I've already gone through the process of importing all my listings, so this is not a tutorial from the very beginning. It's in the middle of you, if you like, of a tour. On the left hand side here, you can see a home tab, library, eBay, Amazon, apps, and settings. For the time being, I'm just going to go into the eBay one just to give you a little tour. Here you can create a new listing. You can show what's live, what's sold, unsold, what listings are scheduled. Profiles, this is where you create your profiles for shipping. So I'm going to give you a little demonstration of what I've done with shipping. So if I select profiles, it will take me to this tab. There's a master profile, a listing profile, payment profiles, return profiles. I think that return profiles is a default return profile for eBay, and the shipping profiles here. This is the one I'm going to show you. In here, I create shipping profiles, and these are all the shipping profiles that I've created recently. Up until recently, I only had about 6 or 7 of them, because the bulk of all my listings went into 1 or 2 big profiles. But I realized that there are some advantages to having individual profiles, which are more or less the same footprint, but they are specific to a product stream. So the top one here, for instance, is for bag making. So any products that I basically hold that are in the category of making bags align with a tab on my shop inside eBay and Shopify for bag making. And so this is the actual profile. I'll just open it up, and you can see that I've given it a title. I created that, a bag making free 48 upgrade, and then I just copied it and pasted it into the profile description. So it says a free 48 upgrade, 24 and 24 tracked upgrade for bag making profile. It's not a default profile, so I haven't selected that. It's for the account HappyMart, which is my username on eBay, and I've selected the eBay UK market here. Next, it's a flat shipping type. I don't change it from anything else. It's the choices are courier for heavy and bulky items, or will not ship. It's for local pickup only, but it's not. This is a flat shipping style type, if you like. I haven't selected buyers can collect the item with click and collect. It's a feature on eBay, but I'm going to go back and select that button, that radio button, for all my profiles, because I don't see any reason why a customer can't avoid paying the postage and come and pick up and collect, especially if they're local. So I'm gonna select that button for all of them. I ship on the same business day. You've got the one way of managing your customers' expectations when you're falling behind is to change the shipping from 1 or 2 or 3 days, or even more. If you're going on holiday, say for instance for 10 days, you can put that on there to say that you'll take the order now, and ship in 10 days time. But there's a holiday switch inside eBay which I use instead, but that's always there. I don't select any of these buttons, but there is one location which I won't ship to at the moment. And if I select that button is the exclude locations, and I basically go to the domestic locations here, and I've selected Northern Ireland because I can't ship to Northern Ireland. Ever since the GPSR came in, it just doesn't. I can't comply with that rule. So that's how I manage it now. And then I've got the actual shipping rates here. It's a domestic shipping service only. I've selected Royal Mail out of all these 48, and I've selected this button here over on the right, free shipping. So it's free 48. I don't charge for that. If they want to upgrade, however, they can upgrade to Royal Mail 24 for £1.49, and each additional item will cost an extra 15p. Or raw mail track 24, which will cost £2.19, an additional 22p. And then finally, the raw mail special delivery, next day sort of guaranteed delivery, £8.99, no additional fees on that. Inside this particular one, the 348, is built for any item that sells. There's built in a price of £1.37 for shipping, which is second class postage. So any upgrade is going to build on that £1.37. So if they want to ship for 20 raw mail 24, it's just an extra £1.49. But £1.37 plus £1.49 will equal the raw mail 24 shipping price, and it's actually £1.93. So I'll make a bit extra if they upgrade. And again, the same is true for raw mail 24, an extra £2.19 on top of 137, and then finally that cost. And then further down, there's nothing else for me to do. All I've got to do is save, right? And if I come back to that profile over on the right hand side, I created it on the 5th of April. It was last updated today. And here I can edit that profile, I can rename it, I can copy it, I can delete it, or I can view the products that are in it. And this is one of the features that I've only got one item in there at the moment, but eventually there'll be about 25 items. So to give you an idea, I'm going to go back to another profile where I know there are a number of, so let's go to zips. Here, this one, we'll go to zips, view the products. In here, I have so far, if I go down to the bottom, it goes 1 to 50 of 53. So there's another page at the top. I can go to the second page there. And these are all the listings that I have got 53 listings in that profile already. And I've probably got another 28 to go. But as I'm switching them over, then eventually that profile of zips will be concluded. I would have switched them all to 48. And the beautiful thing about it is that in this listing here, in this profile, I can, if I need to do some work on it in the future, I can come to this particular profile, view the products, and just work inside this, because this will be all the zip listings. And the other thing about it is, if I come out of it and go to the details there, if for instance the Royal Mail increases second class postage by say 13 pence, it will bring it up to £1.50. But to increase the postage, the cost of the postage inside each one of those listings, I'll have to go and do the numbers, which I'm going to show you in a bit, and increase the price of the product to include the fees, the new postage rate of £1.50, and my target profit to give me a new price. I have to work that out and then go back into each one of those listings and put the new prices in for each option, which is a laborious, a long task. And it's something that I was trying to get away from over the last, something I've been working on, dealing with for about 10 years. It's an ongoing, laborious task, but the pressure was always on. So in future, what I'm going to do to take the pressure off me is if the raw mail increase postage prices on second class from 137 to 150, it's an extra 13p. So what I will do is go into each profile and I'll go to the raw mail 48 option here, this one, and I will deselect it from free shipping and just change that to 0.13, because inside the existing price is the postage of £1.37, but I'm now charging 13 pence to ship it, right? So the new listing in the future, when the prices go up, will be, it will no longer say free postage, it'll say 13 pence. So the customer will land on that listing, and when they see that this postage is not free, that they have to pay, how much have they got to pay? 13p. And they'll go, oh, that's not too bad. But that covers me then. It takes the pressure off me. And then what I can do is go back into that listing profile for zips, recreate a new one, a new free postage model, which is more or less the same footprint with free postage, and work each listing inside this postage profile to the new prices that include the new £1.50 postage, and then save that listing in the new profile, the new free 48 profile, and I'll migrate them one by one from this profile into the new profile. And eventually, when I've completed the exercise, this profile will be deleted, and the new one will have its life. And that is going to be a much better way of me controlling the price increases from the Royal Mail in future. And that's why I've gone for all these different postage profiles. I should end up with over 30 postage profiles, I believe. Maybe a few more, because there are some categories which have a number of subcategories with 30, 40, 50 listings in each of them. So sewing accessories, for instance, has about, I think about 90 or 100 products in there. And I might want to split them out between pins, because there's a lot of pins, and everything else, or hemline products, or sort of whatever. And that's how I intend to do it. If I re-click that, so get rid of that 13p, delete it, and click free shipping again, and then save that. That's the free shipping model. That's how you do shipping inside InkFrog. Now, if I come back out of it, these are all the other ones. Right down the bottom, I've got these few profiles here. I recently changed them to second class, and I've basically charged £1. I think it is £1.89. Let's have a look. Yeah, £1.89 for second class postage. And I'm going to start reworking all the listings that are in that profile. And at the moment, there are, if I have a look at that one, this is on another eBay account. This listing, this profile has 127. If I go to the second page there, all the way down, all watch straps in this one, and then another 27 on the next page. Here we go. So I'm going to rework all these. I'm going to drop all the prices, sell them off. And the one thing, I want to create another postage profile for things like my reselling. So I don't know where they are. Let's have a look and see. This paper, let's have a look at this one. View, they might be in here. Yeah, I've got a couple of them there. So this is your camera magazines. If I open that up, you can see this is the actual listing where you work on the listing. And here there are a number of things which are going to be filled in. I've done most of them. That's the way you change the postage profile for that particular product. That's the price. I want £50 for them. I've got some SKUs to fill in. I've basically said that I'll accept offers at £46 or more, and so on and so forth. And I've got all these to select. And I can basically preview the listing. So look, and that's what it'll show me, just the text. But if I just save to library and come out, and that is the tool that I use. I can do some more. There are a lot more features involved, but that's just a very high level of how I'm dealing with the postage profiles. What I'd like to show you now is how I do my numbers. In order to manage my business, I had to have something which enabled me to deal with variables and deal with variables that apply to all my products. So that's the best place is to start at the beginning. So in this particular spreadsheet here, I've got, this is a master file which I created, and it has all my data sources in it, all the way along, all the postage prices, all the way over to international tracks for zone 3. You can see there's a lot of data in there. It's relatively easy to manage, but it's an essential file, and it goes down 500 deep, because some of my spreadsheets could have like spreadsheets on top of spreadsheets, and they go all the way down to 200-300 lines, you know. So I need the data source to come across to the appropriate line. So that's why I have to make this 500 deep. But just to give you a little tour of this spreadsheet, if I come back to the top, we'll do it by heading. Over on the left hand side here, this is the rate, 13% that eBay charges. I need to put eBay there. I try. It's actually down at 13.25%. You can see in the field at the top there, 13.25%. That's what I assume eBay are charging me per listing. The next column is a multi-buy discount rate. This is what I'll give eBay an extra 7%. If the column is there, but I haven't actually used that column yet. The idea is that I'm 7% is not going to change for all my listings, but it does in reality. So that's why I haven't used it. But if I was using 7% on every single listing, then I would use this column as the data source of 7%. The next one is Etsy. They're 10.5%. The transaction fee is 30p. It increases for each additional transaction that you do. If somebody buys 2 or 3, you charge 30p for the first, 30p, an additional 30 for the second, an additional 30 for fourth, third, an additional for the fourth, and then it starts again 30, 60, 90, 120, 30, 60, 90, 120, and it repeats because my spreadsheets only go 4 scenarios deep for each particular product and each particular option, which you'll understand when I show you. The next column is Shopify. I work on the fact that there's 5% overall fees for finance fees and transaction fees, and I work on the fact that we pay them 40p. It isn't, but I plan to spend 40p per transaction. It's a buffer, if you like. The Royal Mail has a surcharge currently of 108%. And the eBay transaction fee, which is related to that column over there, the first one and this one, they used to be side by side, but I inserted these columns over time. eBay charges 30p, flat 30p for each transaction. Each basket that goes in the whole purchase, 30p. Where Etsy does 30p for each item, right? So that's why you've got to be careful with Etsy because your costs accrue quickly. PayPal 2.9%. PayPal transaction fee 30p. And then I've got a UK carriage cost of £8. I work on £8. If I have to go off Royal Mail and go to DPD or something like that, then I work on the principle it's going to cost me an average £8. Any more or less than that, then I win or lose. And then I've got this. This is 24 all the way. All in this row, these columns here are all 24 posts. So I've got the large letter, 100 grams, £1.94. But I've got a little formula behind each one. If you can see up here on the formula bar, there's a formula. So £1.94. If you go and look at the source documentation for the Royal Mail, it's something like £1.50 or £1.60 or something like that, plus all the surcharges and the extras. And the extras are currently the price, which is, if I look here, it's £1.75 they're actually charging for large letter, multiplied by G2, and G2 is here, the 108%. So I'm basically saying multiply £1.75 by G2, which is 8%, and then add in 5 pence, because they have 5 pence, it was 4p, but they've increased it to 5p. So this is where it enables me to do some flexibility on my master sheet. And that is replicated all the way along. So this is the final price, the recovery price I pay before VAT. VAT comes later. So this is my recovery prices: 194, 248, 248, 288. And then for the parcel, it's £5.7, £5.29, £7.88, £14.68. That's become a spare column. And then I've put in this column here of VAT of 20%, because I realised that although I'm working on 20% VAT in my spreadsheets, the VAT could go up. They might put it up. They talked about it from time to time. Could go down. It was 17.5%. I remember when it was 15% 30 years ago. It went from 15 to 17.5% to 20%. So it stands to reason they could put it up again, or they could put it down. If I was to go into each spreadsheet and work and change the rate manually, it'd be a nightmare. So I decided at some point to put the 20% column in there and use that as a referral point. So in the future, if they change it to 25%, all I've got to do is change that to 25%, and all my spreadsheets will increase accordingly. At least I thought they would do, but I forgot that there was 2 columns that I used in the spreadsheets that draw down on the 20%, and I only ever updated one of them. So there's a big piece of work to do there. Maybe I'll rework at some point in the future. And then I've got the same thing replicated for 48 there. And then I put this in recently. We don't went to paid postage. This is what I was going to charge customers for a 24 large letter. It was £2.29, plus 23p. So that increased by 23, by 23, by 23, and it went back to 229. And it went 3, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, so on, every fourth one, because you'll see later how I draw down on it. And there was a 296, 256, these are scenario plannings, £6.7, £5.13, a 99p, 99p plus 10p, and then a 149. And then recently I moved into tract, and these are the tract prices here. These are the prices that I'm paying for tract. There's the large letter tract and the parcel tract, large letter second class, parcel, and so on. And those are the prices that I'm paying there. You see I'm £2.88, it's cheap. On the parcel one for 24 tracts, £3.48. I was paying, here look, I've got £5.7 there. So it's a big saving for tract. Shouldn't be showing you these numbers because they say you're not allowed to. But anyway, these were all Europe. I've abandoned Europe now. These are all Europe. And they, again, Europe. And I'll get to the very end. And they got these prices for Zone 2 and Zone 3. And I thought, well, there's not that much in them. So I went for the most expensive one. I'll work on Zone 3. And these are the rates for Zone 3. So here, large letter cost me £8.80. That's a letter. That's a letter. For a large letter, 11.50. 100 gram to 250 gram, 12.69, 14.95, 17.33, and then into the parcels. And this is the source data. So this is my main spreadsheet, and I copy, right, and paste that into every product spreadsheet. So I'm going to get one up. Let's go to the zip one. Now let's go to one where I know it's relatively tidy. Let's have a look at thread, right? So I come back here, and these are all my spreadsheets. And I'm going to go for thread manager. Here we go. And here is a spreadsheet, a workbook more like, where I have a list of all the listings that are in that particular category. Looks like it's 48, but there's probably some gaps here along the way. But say, for instance, I've got Gutterman. Let's have a look at this tacking thread here, this one. By Gutterman, it's cotton. That's my supplier's name. That's the code that I need to find it on their website. And then I have a pricing sheet, and then I have a spreadsheet to work out my numbers. And these are control columns all the way along, further out, to record what I've done with a link to each of the listings. I'm finding that I'm using this section less and less, and I might abandon it going forward because it's work that I don't really need to do. Same with these columns here. They were important at one point, but no longer are. Currently, I'm working on these columns: the price review date and the eBay paid postage. So all those with PP in it were the ones where they were paid postage, and the ones with 48 are the new free 48. So when I'm reworking this particular category, as you see, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, all those, all the way down. I've done all those so far, and all the PPs and the blank spaces I've got to do. So I'm kind of cherry picking and working on them. But here, for instance, on this workbook, if I go back down to the bottom, this is the index sheet, what you're looking at the moment. The next tab along is my postage prices. This is the data source that I created from the master sheet, where it's over here. Look, you see it's the same. This is the master sheet. I copied it and pasted it into this sheet here. They're all the same because they are the same, right? And I use this as a data source for this workbook. The next one is what I call a profit model, and this is what I use to work out my profit. So let's say, for instance, I'm going to give you an example of one now where I'm working on that tacking thread. I'm going to recreate it. So if I just basically take a Control C and paste it here, I'll work on that one, right? So I haven't got a target price. I haven't worked that out yet. There's no discount offer just yet, but you'll see in a minute. My promotion rate is 7%. There's the final value fee from eBay. It's actually drawing on that column in the other spreadsheet. The transaction fee. This is what I'm going to sell it for on Shopify, and this is what the retail price is on eBay, and this is the route to market. I've got down recorded 24, but I'm going to change that to 48, and I change the color as well. I always go for this color for 48 and green for 24. So it's going to be 24. This is how many items there are in a pack. and this is the to represent 1 item, 2 items, 3 items, 4 items. And I can change that to 5, 10, 15, or 20 meters, right? But I'm going to use it on a roll of thread, and it's going to match 1 on 1, 2 for 2, 3 for 3. I want the price, so I'm going to go equals sum, and I'm going to go and find the price. Now go to the price. On where are we now? The profit model, here it is there. The price sheet should be down here, and I'm going to look for Control F tacking. Right, let's have a look there, tacking, and it's taken me to the tacking. Let's go and see. Here it is, Gutterman tacking. I paid £3.24. The last time I looked at it was the 29th of March 25. That's last month, and it's £3.24. That was the correct price, and I put £3.24 into those 6 or 7 rows. So I know the price is there, and I want to click that price. Oops, hold on, wait a minute. I want to undo that last one there. Go back to that spreadsheet that I'm working on, which is this one, and I'm going to put equals sum, open bracket, and then go to the price sheet, and I'm going to click on £3.24 because that's what I paid for a box of 5. There's 5 in there, right? And I'm going to draw that down here. There's 5 in a box. I'm actually going to get rid of that. No, I'll leave them for the time being. 5 in a box, 1 sale, and it's £3.24, and I'm going to drag that down to there. And now I can see it's 65p for 1, 130 for 2, 194, 259. I'm working on second class, so I'll go to the postage prices and I'll look for my second class price, which is there, £1.37. Close that down. I'm working on second class, so I'll change the colour and I'll drag that down to there. Right. The next column is the fees, excluding VAT. Then there's a promo price. So that there is basically working off this column here, down here at £7.57, because you'll see exactly how much I'm going to charge in a minute. Because I'm not charging the customer any postage, I'm going to put 0 in there. In fact, I'll draw it all the way down here, and I'll get rid of the colour because it's 0 postage. Because I'm paying eBay 7%, they're going to take 32p extra. Because I'm paying them 13%, their fees is 91p. So their total is 91p plus 32p if I sell, right? And the total, excluding VAT, is £3.25. So it's the 65p for each item, £1.37 package and postage, 91p for eBay excluding fees, and then 32p for the promo. So altogether, my total costs are £3.25 excluding VAT. With the VAT, it's an extra 65p. Together, it comes to £3.89. And then I've worked out a figure of £3.83 net of VAT, and I've extracted it again, so it's like a sanity check. And the retail price is just copied from that column there. The revenue, net of VAT, is 383. With the VAT is 77p. My net profit is 58p or 15%. To change that, let's say for instance I want 20%, right? Then all I've got to go is £4.99, right? And that'll bring me up to 20%. But I have to drag that £4.99 down because it works out now that I'm going to give here in this column where it says quantity discount, 100% they don't get any discount. If they buy 2, so we'll do this 1, 2, 3, 4, and let's just basically and then center it into the middle, and then basically, so if they buy 1, 2, 3, or 4 rolls, right, then I'm going to give them 15% off 1. I'm going to give them 20%. So it's 0.8 there, and I'm going to give them 0.75 there. So these are the inverse of them. Let's basically there we go. So these are the inverse of the discount. So 15% off leaves 85%, 20% off leaves 80%, and 25% off leaves 75%. And over here, you can see what I'll pay to eBay if a customer, but I've missed something out there, so there's something not right. 5, oh, because I've got to do the prices here. 4.99. Why isn't that working then over here? Somewhat. Yeah, because I don't know why that's gone up. Oh yeah, because it's not right. It should be just numbers. Let's just do the numbers. Numbers. There you go. Let's see. That's right, 0.8. So that should be 0.8 and 0.75. There you go. That's better. So this is interesting now. So if they buy 1, 2, 3, or 4, I'll give them 15, 20, or 25% off. I'm still paying the promotion. eBay's still taking their fees. If I sell it on my store, it's going to be £1.58, £3.11, £4.67, or £6.22 for 3. And all I'm doing is taking the price over here and I'm doubling it up and multiplying by 20%. That's all I'm doing to work out the price for my store. If they buy 1, it's £4.99. If they buy 2, it's £4.24 each. If they buy 3, it's £3.99 each. If they buy 4, it's £3.74 each. The total consideration over here is £4.99, £8.48, £11.98, £14.97. And these would be the discounts that I would basically, the profits that I would make if they bought 1, 2, 3, or 4. If they bought 1, I'd make 83p. If they bought 2, I'd make £2.39, even though I'm giving them 15% off. So it's a big jump from 20% to 34%. £3.94 for 40%, £5.18 for 42%. So it's quite high profit margins there based on a price of £4.99. But let's see what happens if I went £3.99, right? If I went £3.99, I'd only make 20p. Over here, look, 6%. If I drag that £3.99 down for each of them, you still see them. They buy 2, I'll make 23%, 3, 30%, 4, 33%. So that is a good price to go in at, £3.99, to be competitive in the marketplace. For sure, if somebody only buys 1, I'll only make 20p. However, if they buy 1 on an organic listing, I don't pay that 7%. So that goes to 0. And then the profit changes to 48%, 17%, which is not surprising. 6 plus 7 is nearly 14%, isn't it? So there's a compounder in there. But that's if I don't pay the promotion, if it's an organic sale. So that's how I work out my numbers. Now, I might do it so that they can buy a 5, 10, 15, 20. So let's see what happens if I basically just equals sum and then just copy that all the way down and then drag that down the bottom. Let's see what will happen. Same 7% if I sell 5, 10, 15 or 20. So let's go over here at £9.69. I'm going to make 11%. So I'm going to leave it at that. So let's see what happens there. So, but I'm only going to pay £1.37. There. Now, the one thing is, what I know about these threads is that they would have to go for a parcel, and I've worked on a large letter price. If I worked on a parcel, let's change the parcel, equals sum. And I would, at this particular point, I would send it by Royal Mail Tract 48 because it's a lot cheaper for me. Here it is, £2.88. So I drag that down to there, and now I'm losing. So I've got to put my prices up. So let's go £6.99. Let's go £5.99. Let's see what happens at £5.99. At £5.99, I'm losing 5p, 1%. Let's drag that down. But if they buy 2, I'll make £1.95, 23%. 3, 33%. 4, 37%. So it's worthwhile leading at £5.99 and losing 5p on every order that I get of just 1. So that is actually a strategy that I'm following at the moment, and with one of my products. And I've had several customers just buy 1, and I'm losing about 20p for each one. So I've lost about £1.40. But I've had one person buy 2, and I made about £1.23. So I'm only a few pence down overall. What I'm waiting for is 2 or 3 people in the month, and I'm sure they'll come based on a price of £5.99. Well, they'll buy 3, 4, 5 or 6 or even 10 rolls. So let's just have a quick look and see what happens if they buy 10. If I go over here, right, and put 10 there and 10 there, right, then over here it goes to £44.93 and I make £18.68, 50%. You see? Overall, the profit that you'd make on somebody buying 10 reels, all the other ones where I've sold at a small loss, pale into insignificance, because overall you're up on that particular listing. And so here, let's follow it through here on, see here at £9.69, let's go £9.79 and see what happens over here. So yeah, bang on, 0%. Make no money, I don't make any money, I don't lose any money. But if I drag it down here, and I'll still give them the 15, 20 and 25% discount and 7% to eBay, then I'll make £1.32 if they buy 2 boxes, make 10%. If they buy 3 boxes, I'll make 13%. 4 boxes, 14%. So at the box rate, I might have a listing where I'm just selling boxes. It might be a bit too aggressive. So what I might do on that one is just go 0.9, 10%, 0.15% and 0.8, 80% on that one. And I will just highlight those to show that they're different. And I put in a red and maybe a white background like that so that I can see. And here the profits change. They go from 13, 14, 18. I could change it again. I could say, well, hold on. What happens if I go 9.99, right? And I'll say, okay, I'll make 12p for one. That's 1%. If I drag that down, then it goes up. What I really want is all this to be about 20% plus. So what I could do again is go £10, say 29, and let's just see. So I'll make 4% if they buy 1 box, and if they buy, I'm getting there, 60. So that'll be a bit more palatable. But the important thing is that if somebody comes along and buys at £10.29 and they buy it from organic listings on all of those scenarios, if I take the 7% out, then I keep that 7%, and my numbers at the end go 12, 25, 28, 29%. And this is my spreadsheet. And across the bottom, you can see I've got a tab for each one of my product streams, my products within this workbook. And this workbook has its own postage profile. So this has taken years of work, and at the end of the day, it's what works that counts. And what I needed was a scenario planner, something to show me what would happen if I sold 1, 2, 3 or 4 items. And it's a bit complicated, as you can see, but I know what my 3 or 4 columns which I change, and then as soon as I get the information feedback that I'm on the right spot for that particular product, then I've got my numbers, and then I go back into InkFrog and start creating the profile, the product listing, and I'll put all the numbers in, create all the variations, select the postage profile that I'm going to use, and so on and so forth, until I've got to the point where I've got a nice clean listing, and then I can list it. Of course, you've got to upload the photographs as well. So that's one video. So there's an InkFrog there using my data source. Just quickly go back. There's my the link of all the products that I've got on the left hand side: embroidery skeins, Himalaya home cotton, crochet thread, bulk 75, bulk 80s, moon, and each one of these products has a price sheet, and it has a spreadsheet, and it has control columns, and this is what I call my work engine. Very simple, very basic. I use it on Google Docs, which is free, and it kind of fitted in with my brief I gave myself when I first started, which was to start my business on a shoestring, and I've kind of been running it on a shoestring ever since. Why pay for these things if you can get it for free? So I've never bought Word, I've never had Excel. I know how to use them because I used to use them in my previous jobs, but Google Docs, it's online. It allows me to move from work on the same spreadsheets, whether I'm at work or at home. Just go into Google, open up the documents I want, from my drive, and then just start working away. And that's that. So, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I'm going to try and bring back some more tutorials on this because there's so much more to show. What do you think? I'd love to know what other people do to control their prices, and record their acquisitions and so on. I realise, of course, in the reselling game, you're buying maybe a bag full of cassette tapes, so you might basically have a spread workbook with a list of all the cassette tapes, or you just might just work on the fact that you're just selling one bag for 40 or 50 quid full of cassette tapes, and that's the price, and that's your listing, and you just need one line for it. You don't need to create something as fancy as this. But if you're buying from wholesalers and splitting, I call pack splitters, splitting boxes and packs and rolls and things like that, then you've got different scenarios. What happens if somebody buys half a bag or a whole bag? What happens if they buy 10 bags? And so on and so forth. So what do you think? Answers on a postcard. Like, share, subscribe. Catch you later. Bye.